So I have drawings of flowers, I have drawings of poppies, I have drawings of leaves. I have them laid out from left to right in terms of large and small. I've got them drawn from the side, I've got them drawn from the front. I'm basically lining up here on my desk a whole bunch of little drawings. And then I've got piles of drawings since I have been working with large, medium, and small. I have some big drawings and some little drawings and some medium-sized drawings. I also have on a sheet of paper here made a boundary box. So I've got a 15 by 20 boundary box on this piece of tracing paper. And then underneath it, I've cut out a 12 by 16. Since my pattern is supposed to go in a 12 by 16, I'm making that really obvious by laying a 12 by 16 sheet of paper under there that's white, so that this is where my pattern is gonna, or where my design is gonna happen. And then my repeat, I'm gonna have another 4 inches here and another 3 inches here that are gonna show my repeat on the horizontal and the vertical. I'm gonna take in this space that I've got, 2 or 3 of my floral images. And I'm going to start playing with how they're going to relate to each other. So not only can I lay it down in terms of up and down and right and left or anywhere along that rotation, but I can also flip it. So if I just turn this over, since I've drawn it with marker, I can see this is now a mirror image of that. And so it might be interesting to see how those two are coming together. Probably shows up better on something like this, where if I flip one, then they're going to do something like that. And that might frame something like this. Maybe as well as doing a move and a rotation, I also want to do a change in scale. But I feel like I'm getting too much stuff on here now, right? I'm getting sort of a grid kind of thing working out again, and I want to do something that flows and moves maybe across the paper or around the paper or something. So why don't I just take 2 elements. Let's say I'm going to face that one up, and this one I want to go down. This I'm going to face off to the right. And this I'm going to face off to the left. Now I'm going to take some of these and repeat. This is the same element. I'm going to turn it upside down. Maybe I want to mirror it. Maybe I want to put it down in here and relate it to this flower. I feel like I want a curve to go this direction through here. So I'm going to create something that does that. This is a large and this is a medium, so I think I'm going to face that this way and not this way. And then because I like a triad, I'm going to do a large and a medium and a small of these three. So maybe instead of movement now, I'm looking more at a triangle. Kind of like the idea of this like coming up to speak to this one. So I'm going to get some tape. Because now I feel like I've found something that I want to keep. I'm actually going to attach this one to that one, right there. Maybe I'm even going to tape this down to the paper because they're so curvilinear. I feel like I want them to stick a little bit. That's better. Now I'm imagining there's going to be a curve that goes on from this line of this, this pod. And I can make that do a movement too. So really right now, I think I want to have these two, maybe these two relating. Yeah. See, I can keep going back and forth between like really large and really small. And if I've got more shapes cut out, then I've got more choices to play with. I think I'm going to do this large one by itself, and I'm going to have these two smaller ones support each other. And that feels pretty good to me. This flower I really like, so I'm definitely going to have this come in. I also like this curvilinear aspect that's happening here with this guy, so I'm looking for more of those. Here they are at a smaller scale. That might be nice to bring one of those in. Now, before I get too finished with that, I'm actually going to put this down, and I'm going to do a quick sketch drawing on top of it to imagine. Maybe I want a line going. I've got this triangle set up. I'm concerned about having these two like this, right? Because if those two repeat here, and then let's think, if I slide it over this way, this one is going to happen over here again. There's my medium flower. This guy's going to happen over here again, the edge of that, which is going to create a real hard line right through there. So I want something that's going to counter that, and that's going to move this direction, perhaps, against that line. So this flower here, I want the stem to come out this direction, I believe. These guys here are all sort of heading in this direction like this. So they're reinforcing that line that goes this way, actually. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to curve it off this way. So I get a sense of these guys coming up here. Probably should be drawing with my marker. But I want you guys to definitely use pencils so that you can see what you're doing and you can change it. Of course, this is just a tracing paper, so we can come back in and change it. I've got these elements sort of floating out here. Do I want to bring them, maybe I'm going to connect them to this guy here. Not everything has to be connected in an S-curve, but it's very pleasing to us, I believe, visually as artists. And people in general find that if you connect things on a curve, they're going to feel more unified and harmonious. Now, of course, I could set up a grid or an angle or a jagged kind of thing going on here too. I'm not being super specific about my sketch, but I definitely want to know what's going to happen when I take this puppy here and here and here and here. And I slide that over to here. And now I look at what kind of space I've got in between this and that. I look at what kind of space I've got going on down here. This is nice because that's repeating close to that there. I like the relationship of these guys to that. If I don't, I can peel up the tape and move it, right? No problem at all. But this really helps me now to see how this is going to relate to the other elements within that drawing. Bring this down to here. And what's going to happen in my repeat. This I would like to know what's going to happen with these branchy things. And I don't have them on here, do I? So I'm going to have to flip my sheets. So I'm working with 2 sheets of newsprint, and then I've also got a sheet of paper cut under that. The sheet of paper under there laid on top of my cutting board really kind of helps me keep track of that edge very clearly. Of course, I've drawn it on here in marker again too, but all right, looking at this now, I see that this corner is neglected, right? So I want to get something going on up there. What should it be? I want to see repeat before I decide, because I don't know what to run off this corner until I relate it to the repeat pattern that I have going on over here. So it looks like this thing that I drew off over here is going to tuck underneath this flower right here. So I have a big empty space in here that I want to put some stuff into. I'm ready. Now, if I'm looking at the edge of my paper and I think, okay, I want this to go off towards this edge, that's fine and good, except that I need to look at this as a repeating pattern. Is everything facing up? Let's see. I've got this flower facing down, and I've got this flower facing up. Feels like it should go off in that direction, but I just want to make sure. I've got this leading my eye downwards. I've got this leading my eye downwards. I may want to have something facing up in here, or right or left, so that not everything there goes down. These tend to face upwards this way, so I guess I'm going to put something upwards that way, and then I look over here to see how those downward ones are going to read into my drawing. I feel like I want something bigger now that I see it. Maybe I want that to go with a leaf. Ooh, that feels good. Take that. So I'm shooting from the hip here. I'm going with my gut quite a lot, right? My intuition is just telling me what to do. And when my intuition says, oh, that's going to work, then I go with it. Then I step back to use my design principles. How's my line? How's my scale? How's my direction? Definitely want to get more things in there so I'm overlapping a little more. But for right now, I'm just adding one element, one element, one element as I go along. That's going to either solve a problem or add to the dynamic of what I'm doing. That feels really good because this comes in this way. It repeats this curve, but it contrasts this curve right here. So I've got this curve coming through here, and I've got a contrasting curve coming through here. These are going to kind of weave across this way. This now I see as I say that these two are repeating almost exactly, but one's smaller. So I think I want to change it. I want to turn one of these a different direction, and I'm turning this one because I'm more attached to that one over there, and that's just a matter of my own preference. But I'm going to flip this maybe this way and have it come out from behind this flower like that. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Now I've changed that from over here, so if I bring this back over to trace it, I've got to remember that I moved this out of there. So it may be that I want to X that out or get a new sheet of tracing paper or something. I just got to make sure I don't get lazy about this and stop doing a drawing and a redrawing and a drawing and a redrawing, right? Bringing this over here and drawing that in there makes me question how that's going to relate to this guy here, which I haven't traced on this drawing yet. Notice how he's coming close to this guy, which I didn't realize until I put this up there. Not up there and draw him in. Actually, I think I'm going to have that overlap. I like that. I needed overlap anyway. I'm going to draw that leaf into that flower. Then I'm going to put this one underneath that one. It's time to switch again. So I go back and forth and back and forth with my layers because obviously that helps me get a vision of what's happening here. These are both unresolved. We're not sure what's going to happen there on this drawing with that. We resolved that over here. We said that this one is going to go behind this flower, didn't we? What happens when this comes down here? Still unresolved. There's something problematic between this leaf and that leaf. So I'm going to pull this down to here. Yeah, okay, so it's not unresolved. It's going to run into this flower here. If you need to tape these as you trace them, please do so. Yeah, that's starting to come together. Beginning to be able to see how it's going to work, how it's going to repeat, what's going to happen in these negative spaces. So if I'm only planning negative spaces to the edge of this 12 by 16, then obviously I'm going to have some clunky, problematic spots. All right, so now I'm going back into these places. I'm saying, what else wants to happen here? I feel like I want something linear. And I want to use this flower here because I like it. I also want to use my smaller leaf again. Maybe. To interact with these two. I can use this curve right here to connect this leaf, these two pods, and this flower over here. I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to use the center line of this leaf going right here. Now, I'm going to let it come over top of this flower because there's one thing I've done in this drawing all the time, and that is my flowers are always on top of my leaves. That's not really something that happens in nature, so once in a while I want to let a leaf come on top of a flower, don't I? Why not? I want more of these curvilinear pods. Now, if I can't find the thing that I want in here, or I put this down here and it's just way too small for the size, I don't have to just tape it in. I can actually just draw into this something that's going to work for me. I'm repeating that again. So I want to do something that faces off this way. Let's see, right, left, up, down, back, forth. Maybe this should come in there. That's nice. This can sit on top of that leaf. But if I need to redraw it a different size, or I need to even make a new flower, I need to draw it from a different angle or something like that, I don't have to just stay with the things that I've drawn. There's no reason for me to be really rigid about this. So let's say I bring in a whole nother element and I want to put that into my drawing somewhere. I can make a drawing, I can slide it in. Make it happen in the direction I want it to. I can trace it, and then I can go back and forth from one paper to the other until I get that block in there too. I've added 1, 2, 3 different elements, so I think before I go too much further with that, I want to see what they're going to look like, and I want to get them traced in there in repeat. So I'm going to take this guy here again. And we know that even this is not our final drawing. We're going to take this when we get it all done. We're going to make sure that it works at the repeat. Then we're going to trace it onto our watercolor paper. This feels like it's going wrong. I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to take a red pencil. So this I eliminated. This I want to eliminate. And that way, when I get back into here, and I want to draw this overlay onto that, you know not to trace those two. Here where I have this happening, I've got a double kind of thing. Maybe I want to take my red pencil and mark that off so that I know that this guy is going to come up over the top of this and overlap. Have I used my favorite elements? Have I filled the space? Have I got enough overlap and direction and light? So now I ask myself, how's my direction? How's my variation? How's my repetition? How's my scale? Are there enough small things in there? Are there enough large things in there? Is there enough dynamic and interest and contrast? We may have to unify this quite a bit with our color next week because it's getting kind of crazy. There's a lot going on. This I like. I'm going to layer that up on that leaf. Now this negative space has changed in here. But I still want to put something in there and something in there probably. And these are kind of hard to see, but they're going to be different colors, right? So I'm going to do greens and blues, or I'm going to do totally different colors of green or something on top of those so that I have like that. Those two are the same size though. Maybe I should go with a bigger one. I can't find it, so it looks like I'm going to have to trace another one.